Per usual, every on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It's Tuesday. Let's take a look at the live trading journal. We are down near 12% on the year. Feels like I'm simultaneously down more and up more just based on some of this positioning. Really, it has to do with position sizing and positioning in the wrong places, specifically taking a chance on crypto. But shoot or shoot, no complaints on my side as far as the system is concerned. Definitely need to tighten up the stop loss discipline, but overall, I think we are in the right place here for the portfolio, which is the non-exciting stuff. It's energies, commodities, little biotech, transports, oil and gas, home builders, really nothing flashy. And you can look in the archive. I closed a bunch of stuff the other day to make room for more Zoom because I think that's one of the best looking charts here. And then, again, I could be wrong on Stitch Fix as well, if that goes against me. I try to keep track of all this in the change log in case you're curious. Added XLU today. That looks fantastic. And I think probably within the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some TLT long duration bond stuff on here because that stuff also looks very good. What doesn't look good and continues to just look untradeable to me is BTC until this tries to make a serious attempt. That's going to take weeks, I think, at this point. It just doesn't make sense to try. Doesn't make sense to try. Most people here are better off in cash doing nothing. Something like STRC or whatever you care about, that to me, not financial advice, is probably where most people are going to prevent themselves from getting into trouble because you're going to try trading alts, you're going to try trading hype or BCH or some other junk that just maybe it moves, maybe it doesn't. But if BTC moves lower or continues to chop around, alts are not going to do well. So we got time on top of time on BTC. And what I said again for IBIT, I'd love to see a lower low here within the next 2 months, maybe. Get a div on this. That to me is an actionable trade. Lower low in price, higher low in RSI. We've hit the fib extension on the bear flag. So anything else is a bonus for the bears. And that's where you tend to see bearish exhaustion. And that's it. I don't really care about alts until BTC turns around. As far as the long bond stuff, I think it's very important to keep watching this, set alerts on this stuff, 90 on TLT or ZROZ 71 or something. These are very steep, potentially bearish to bullish reversals. Fundamentally, this doesn't make sense if we're issuing a bunch of debt and issuing a bunch of long bond stuff, but whatever. If the market goes risk off in a significant way and there's some sort of safe haven bid, whatever, right? We can make up a narrative where it just doesn't matter in the near term and this stuff turns around. It looks very primed to move higher, as does the 2-year yield, which just in isolation, the 2-year yield ETF U2 also looks very good. So again, alerts at a higher high. I like it there. And that's it, right? This isn't about trying to make 100x on the long bond. It's just about knowing what the market is giving you right now. And it's not giving crypto. There's also HYG. HYG is probably more important to watch just for sentiment. This is junk bond, high yield debt type stuff. This tends to match the S&P directionally. So if this continues to move higher, that's really good for risk to some degree. But this is not bearish. RSP is not bearish. The SPY is not bearish. None of this stuff is bearish. So it's hard to just sell and go away. At the same time, the S&P has just chopped around. It hasn't really gone anywhere. I think selectively there are some places. There are some places in energy names, tons and tons and tons of stuff in energy, in utilities. Utilities look great. GEV looks great. Some of these at this point are probably a little late. I think XLU is a great entry point today. Home builders looks excellent. XHB, I'm getting exposed through TOL. Nice cup and handle here, or ascending triangle, call it whatever you want. It is breaking up. That's probably an all-time high. And because these are more like value-oriented names, they do have a dividend as well. So that is not included in any of these price charts. I just leave that stuff off. Materials has gone nuts. XLB, probably a little late, but within the materials space, I'm sure there's some laggards that are probably setting up. Dow was one of them that somebody pointed out a couple weeks ago that we snagged for the live port. That's done very, very well. And it's never a straight line. You got to keep that in mind. That's why once the breakout starts, you just got to let it be, right? Let it do its thing. Let it reach the levels. At 35, I'm likely to close this, potentially rotate into something else. But it also reminds me of mRNA, where that has room to run and has yet to complete its full 50% retracement target. Transport's also another one that's doing very, very well. Boat is another ETF, or boats, I always forget. This is IYT. A lot of this stuff is breaking out from an inverted head and shoulders earlier in the year. And you're probably not hearing a lot about it. I'm sure you're not hearing a lot about the agribusiness ETF MOO. This is a phenomenal chart that I missed that somebody mentioned last week. What a crazy, crazy inverted head and shoulders this was. You know, the hard part about all this stuff is you have to be watching these develop. And that's why it's worth, you know, if you're a crypto trader, you know, watch your favorite crypto charts once a week, once a day, whatever. Don't stop watching it, because you never know. You never know you're going to get lucky and you're going to get a setup like this just explode on you higher. So this is, to me, is too late, but just sort of a sign of the times that money is rotating elsewhere. You know, I don't think metals are necessarily the place to be either, silver and gold. There are probably just better trades elsewhere. PFE, this is an excellent setup as well. This looks great. Similar to mRNA, maybe a potential rotator. Zoom still looks phenomenal to me. It looks very, very good. Some people saying it's one of the only ways to get exposure to Anthropic. Maybe that's why this is pushing higher. I don't know. It certainly doesn't hurt. This chart looks ridiculously amazing to me. I don't know any other adjectives to use. Multi-year consolidation headed for multi-year highs. So that's why I added a significant amount here. I'm trying to get it up to 25%, which would be 56K. It is currently, what are we at? We're at 38. So I got a bit to go. I got some reminders here. I got some cash here. You know, I'm trying to be smart about it, not just blow it all in one day to get to the 25% mark. And some people would, you know, disagree that that's too much of a concentration for this portfolio. It's sort of instinctual just based on the chart and how long I've been watching this. You know, you're not going to be comfortable throwing 25% of your portfolio probably at something that you're just pulling up today. But if you've watched this for a year and you sort of understand a little bit about what's going on, you're probably going to be a little bit more comfortable. FIGS is one I closed completely yesterday. An excellent trade that for many people is just under the radar. Over 100% move for me on this one. And I closed it because it went inside the cloud. So for me, this trade is done. It's been great. And I rotated it into something else. And that's really the dream, is to catch stuff like this on the breakout or near the breakout, ride it to a stop loss and move on. So in general, there's some stuff to watch on the bond side. There's some stuff that's rotatable, some individual names on energy, materials, transports, chemicals, biotech. And then there's Zoom, which looks great. You know, I loved Rivian for a long time and that went nowhere. So Zoom might be the same thing with Stitch Fix. Who knows? That's all I got for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.